If you are craving certain foods at specific times every day, that is your body's cry for help. If you're craving chocolate, you want magnesium. If you're craving salt, you're stressed. If a woman is constantly craving sugar, okay, you need more food. You're probably under eating during the day. So by the time you get to at night, now you have a baby inside asking like, hey, I need some food. Well, your brain is on overdrive because your brain's going to prompt those cravings. And it's going to say, hey, I want this. I want a pumpkin roll. I want chocolate cake. I want whatever. And then you're like, oh, I'm pregnant. I can have it. And you give in.
Welcome to the VSHRED Better Body, Better Life podcast, where we help you live your best life while working on your health and fitness goals. We're here to make your journey fun and inspiring.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the VSHRED Better Body, Better Life podcast. Today, I'm your host, Vince Sant, and we have Felicia back for another episode. If you guys caught the last one where we talked all about just like family life being included in your fitness routine and how to get family life incorporated and how to approach that and how to get your kids motivated and how to motivate them in their own way, I should say. We went over a bunch of stuff. Go check that out if you haven't yet. Today, we're going to be going over a bunch of stuff related to how your body changes as you have kids. So postpartum fitness, and Felicia's an expert in it. So thank you for joining us for this. I'm excited to pick your brain on this topic.
Thanks for having me. Me too.
So as we started the last one, I had you just mention like what all you specialized in and what your certifications are. Go ahead and explain those to our listeners again. That way they can know why we should be listening to you.
Sure. So I have been in the health and nutrition industry for over a decade now, as a personal trainer and nutrition, but also having corrective exercise to go deeper, to figure out why the body is not functioning the way it properly should. So helping people fix that. And then that brought me to, once I became a mom, there is no guideline. There is generic stuff given by your doctor because they legally can't tell you. There's nothing that they can say. So learning how to work out before you're pregnant, during, and after is super important. So helping moms is a passion of mine, having gone through it 3 times. And then most recently, diving into cancer and exercise with nutrition, super important to me, just helping with chronic illness just because of my life experiences and how it really is needed in our society today.
Yeah, very cool. And yes, very, very needed. Mm-hmm. When you were going through your first pregnancy, what was your plan of attack? Did you have a plan in place? Was it a good plan? Like, What did you do? And then also, what did you do for your first one? And then what did you do for your third one? So
I was married 2 weeks, found out I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, okay, this is real. So I went from...
That's a successful honeymoon.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I was like, okay, well, this happened very quickly. Was not ready. So I was about 106 pounds. I was very, very thin. Yes. I worked out because that was my life. I lived at the gym because I had nothing else to do. So my plan of attack was what the doctor told me, which was, if you're doing it now, you can keep doing it. So I kept doing it, which retrospectively is not necessary because I was a little bit more than what the normal person is doing, right?
Yep.
So my plan of attack was very unhealthy. Even I didn't have nutrition at the time. I was 25 years old, very, very obsessed with, well, you don't have to gain weight. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. I can just eat healthy and eat enough for me and the baby, and that's plenty. So I was very small. When I was 9 months pregnant, I looked like I was maybe 5 months pregnant. I was just very small, and it caused a lot of problems. I went into labor 3 weeks early because I had some complications. I had preeclampsia. So, it was a lot. It was very, very small-minded thinking, very much like, well, celebrities don't gain weight. I don't need to gain weight. Okay. And it really, it hurt the whole joy in the process because I was so focused on me because I just was doing what I thought was the norm. Not saying that you can't work out, not saying, you have to gain an obscene amount of weight. I'm not saying that. But at the same time, you have to give yourself grace and you have to allow your body to change in the process and enjoy the process, which the first baby I did not. Second baby, absolutely loved it. Then we had COVID happen. And then the third baby, same thing. I was chasing after 2 kids. Very different from first to third.
And then do you think that the first one was just basically a learning experience for you? And do you think that now there is more information out there? Or do you still think it's kind of lacking?
I really like the way that culture has kind of shifted. Before it was like, this celebrity had a baby and look how thin they are. To now, hey, like, let's help that mom thrive. Let's come around that mom and let's help with her mental health. Let's make sure that we come around and, we help hold the baby, and that way she can take care of herself and have time to shower and do things. So I think there's been a culture shift of mental health versus, oh, she's back to 106 pounds, which was what all I cared about.
The super high expectations.
Super high expectations. And comparison's the thief of joy. I know you love a good quote, but comparison's the thief of joy. Yeah. Going on social media and looking at these people who had whatever amount of kids and they're perfect. You don't know how much they make. You don't know if they have a Pilates person coming to their house or a chef or whatever. So when you are at home cooking, dinner for your family, and you maybe got 60 ounces of water and you're hoping to get more and go for a walk later, that's okay. But what's not okay is mentally beating yourself up and being like, oh, I wish I was back in this. Forget it. It's gone. Your body's not the same. Your body's a lot stronger for it now.
And that's a perfect segue. What are some of the changes that women see postpartum, and what are some of the changes that you saw postpartum?
I'm going to be very real with you today, so be ready
for
it.
I mean, we got mainly women listening, and I'm sure they'd love to hear this.
I had boobs for the first time in my life. I didn't know what to do with them. I was 106 pounds. I was built like a boy. I was like, what are these? Like, not to be like, what are those? But what are those? I was like, what do I do with workouts? How do I run? I was like running and I was like, do I have to hold them? Like, it was a whole new world. Okay. So that was first and foremost. So like holding the weight differently is everything. I had hips. Your body's main agenda the second you are pregnant, it is no longer trying to be tight and toned. It is trying to relax your body. So my hips, they widened because your joints and ligaments are relaxing. My tight abs, no, gone. It's just different. And again, you just have to be ready, cognizant of that. Like, if you have this expectation of when you see like a girl in a running magazine where she's pregnant, but she still has abs on top, that's not great for the baby. Like, that might aesthetically look pleasing to us and be like, I can do that too. But at the end of the day, I don't know how that labor is going to be when your body is asking you to chill and you are like running 7 miles an hour or doing a 220 snatch over your head, which I've seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's actually beneficial to put on more weight throughout your pregnancy. And that's something that women should not avoid, is what you're saying?
Healthy amount during. Because at the same time, we have the other extreme. Because listen, I think we all know there are extremes in this world. And I feel like it's apparent more than ever. You don't want to go off the rails where you're like, I can eat everything. Yeah. And I have to listen to my cravings. I get it. The baby wants certain things. However, your baby also needs protein, it needs healthy carbs, and it needs fats. It doesn't need you going to Sonic every single day and getting a diet soda, right? That's how you get gestational diabetes.
Right.
So it is like, once you get out of like the first trimester, which when you have babies, you're going to have so much fun learning all about the different trimesters, right? Once you get out of first trimester and you go into second trimester, you're going to gain a little bit more weight. It's healthy. Do not Wikipedia or Google what is healthy pregnancy weight, because some places will tell you 10 pounds is all you need. Okay, well, what if you're having an 8-pound baby? Where do you think, the extra, let's talk about placenta and all those things are going? Like, you have to. Your body is naturally going to gain fat. Like, there's so much going on. Like, you just have to trust the process and increase in healthy foods. That's it. Like, don't be afraid to gain weight from healthy foods and allow your baby to thrive, because that's the most important thing, and also for you. But again, you don't need to be going to Chick-fil-A and having all those things and eating it because the baby wants it. No.
What was your balance of your healthy food versus unhealthy food through your pregnancies?
So I definitely did not have cravings the first one,
Really?
just because I didn't have any. Oh, that's a lie. Oh, I definitely am lying here. I loved peanut butter. I loved peanut butter so much.
Okay.
I posted about it. This was when Instagram was just first cool and whatever, and I tagged Skippy in it. They sent me $400 worth of peanut butter products. That was
Really?
that's why I said I liked. So I'm like, oh no way, I did. So peanut butter was my favorite. I definitely am over that. And then with Harper, I wanted to have so stupid green smoothies and perfect bars. I got so sick to this day. I can't look at them the same. I just no.
Why do you think you got sick from that?
I have no idea. I don't know if it was the combo because it's not great. Green juice and then having a perfect bar is not a great combination.
Like you got sick consistently when you had it, or you just had so much?
I think my body was like, you're done. You're tapped out. Like, stop, go eat something else. So, I just learned, but sugary stuff, like if you are having balanced nutrition, you're not going to have cravings for things. Like that's your body's process. But you'll want like dairy. I feel like dairy is something that you'll see an uptake up because your baby wants that calcium. Your body wants the calcium.
Okay, that's something that you definitely did as you started having...
I naturally wanted more.
Really?
And then after the baby, I became lactose intolerant. So the
Really?
body's fickle that way. Yeah, more and more females are we're switching because our body can't handle dairy anymore. I don't know. It's a weird thing. Yeah.
So what were those dairy sources that you were having when you were pregnant?
Oh, cottage cheese. I hated cottage cheese before.
Okay.
I liked cottage cheese, yogurt, smoothies, things like give me a cheese stick and call it a day. I was good.
And now you can't have any of that.
I can't tolerate like ice cream. Can't tolerate it. Thought of ice cream, I don't want it. It just makes me sick, which is fine. Like, I'm
going to say that's a great thing.
I'm fine with it. Yeah, I'm like, oh, bummer.
Like, I'm not a chocolate guy, and people are like, oh my God, how do you not like chocolate? I'm like,
I don't like chocolate either.
I love that I don't like chocolate because I'm not, like,
tempted.
I do love like candy bar chocolate, like milk chocolate, like Reese's. Yeah. I love Reese's, but like fudge, chocolate cake, chocolate ice cream, brownies, can't do it.
Well, again, if you don't have a sugar addiction, you're not going to want that stuff anyway. So that's why I tell people, like, don't start feeding yourself stuff you normally wouldn't just because you're pregnant. Because when you're done, you're stuck with the repercussions. Yeah. So,
because that's definitely something that I've heard that women will do. They'll get these random weird cravings while they're pregnant. And it's the baby wanting these, right? And so they'll have them. You think that's bad?
I think that pregnancy and regular life, when you're having certain cravings, it's your body telling you need something else. If you're craving chocolate, you want magnesium. If you're craving salt, you're stressed. That is your body telling you it needs something. So if your body is telling you...
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I tell...
It's specific minerals and
things. I can give you...
There's
a whole list. If you are craving certain foods at specific times every day, that is your body's cry for help.
Wow.
So I tell like my regular clients, and I tell...
I need to have a ton of magnesium then.
There you go. If you're, or you're dehydrated. It's one of the two. So if you're stressed, dehydrated, and you're like, I'm both of those. I live in the desert, Felicia.
Yeah.
Right? So if a woman is constantly craving sugar, okay, you need more food. You're probably under eating during the day, and most women are, especially throughout the day. So by the time you get to at night, now you have a baby inside asking like, hey, I need some food. Well, your brain is on overdrive because your brain's going to prompt those cravings, and it's going to say, hey, I want this. I want a pumpkin roll. I want chocolate cake. I want whatever. And then you're like, oh, I'm pregnant. I can have it. And you give in. Same thing carries over when the baby, baby's 1 or 2, you're still under eating and you have those cravings, and we're still giving into them. It's just on a larger scale. So you think it's more
the relationship that you're creating?
Correct.
During that.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So if you had a proper mindset coming out of the pregnancy, it would be okay to do it during the pregnancy. It's just so hard to get back to how you were before is what you're saying.
Like when I was pregnant, I was like, you know what? This is my last baby. I'm going to, because don't judge me. I love a good hamburger. That's my favorite food.
I'm a big burger guy.
I go to Lifetime and I'm like, I want my Life Burger right there. Just give it to me. Like, that's like my thing.
I don't think we have that at ours.
Oh, no. I mean, to each their own, right? Yeah, you are missing out. So like, that was my thing. However, that was like, okay, I need an iron. But now when I don't have kids now, I can't live off of burgers. I can't just justify that. But during it, I was like, you know what? Last hurrah, I'm going to have burgers. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. But I wasn't stopping working out. I kept working out. I kept the main thing. But I definitely gained more weight the third time around. One, because I had a boy. He was taking on listen, my testosterone was all over the place. Like hormones
Really?
play
That's interesting. I didn't know that either.
Yep. So so once I had Allison, snapped back, went back. I was that obnoxious woman who was like, I'm back in a size 2 and it's been 3 weeks. I hate that person.
You're that
now,
celebrity that we're talking bad about.
But that was my right. Second baby, COVID happened. I didn't care. I was like, oh, no one's seeing me. Took my time, very healthy mindset. That was probably the best I've ever felt mentally, emotionally, physically with that second baby. And then with the third one, hormones were all over the place because, again, now I'm producing more testosterone because I'm producing to help him because as he's forming. So the drop off is so much harder and the rebound has been so much harder. So I always tell people too, the gender of your baby, whatever that might be, plays a factor in how you recover as well. So you have to be cognizant of that.
That makes so much sense. I never even thought about that. My sister just found out this past weekend that she's having a boy. And so
fine.
I wonder how that'll, it's going to be a big boy too.
Well,
big boy.
Good for her because I had very tiny babies. So that was not a problem for me. But I'm not to sound cliche because I work for VSHRED, but I'm on test boost. I'm absolutely on test boost because
that's actually incredible to hear because not a lot of women talk about that side of things, and
it needs to be said. That's why when I talk about these things, when I have conversations one-on-one with women, they go, oh my word. Like, you're right. I have women who are 20 years removed and have not healed their diastasis recti. And I'm sending them because with VSHRED, we have that postpartum care, like those workouts. And I have the restorative core. I send them, they're in their 40s, they're in their 50s, and they're doing it. And they're like, this is crazy. They're like, I have muscle down there still. I'm like, you do. You've just been doing crunches and everything that forces your organs through that versus closing it. So we have to give the people the right tools and the information so they can be successful.
Yeah. And what do you think I actually want to dive into like those exercises, just to like give the listeners some action items, I guess. But before we do that, I kind of want to touch on like the emotional and mental side of things that the physical changes that these new moms are experiencing can cause.
Right.
What would you say is like the common emotional outcome of these changes, and what is your best like recommendation, your best tips to be able to get into a healthy mindset following a pregnancy?
You have to be realistic with yourself. You have to just really know when you're coming into it, what are my short-term goals? Your short-term goals are going to be healing, providing for that baby, getting your routine, caring for that baby. And what that's going to help do is you're going to lessen your anxiety. You're going to allow yourself to thrive and just being a new mom, living in the moment, being able to provide for them. And there's no unrealistic expectations of being anything for anyone or looking any type of way. You are just being your best self in the short term and just healing. That is so important for moms that we really are not given that time anymore, unfortunately, especially we need everyone working. I mean, my husband's a teacher, so like I'm working, and that's not a bad thing. A lot of moms love working, but that means in 6 to 8 weeks or whatever you're allowed, you're back at the workforce, okay? When I first left my daughter, I cried. I was a hot mess, not because I was a stage 5 clinger, but because I literally felt like my heart had left my body. And my daughter was with my mom, so not even daycare. And I was gone for 2 hours, right? So I had the best caregiver, 2 hours, and it's just
still though, yes,
so your heart is out of your chest. So it's about understanding that your body is transformed. You have given life. Respect that, love that, nourish that, and give yourself time. They say the body takes 6 to 8 weeks to heal, which is why they gave us that 6 to 8 weeks of maternity leave. It's not true. It's inaccurate. For your body to fully get back to where it needs to be, it's around 12 to 18 months if you want to be really real. We're talking yes. And with each baby, you have to add a year. Okay?
Wow.
Right. So when I was able to heal so quickly, I was also 25 versus someone who's having their first baby at 40. So you cannot compare my first journey with their first journey type thing. So being ready for that, being ready for the drop off in hormones. Postpartum is a thing, not because we miss being pregnant. In some cases, sure. Our hormones are out of whack. We're not sleeping. So our cortisol's through the roof. Our estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, ester, whatever, Joan. Like, it's just a hot mess. So you have to just ask people to, hey, be patient with me. Allow me to take naps. Allow me to, especially if you have more than one child, it takes an army to raise a family because you need that help. And if you don't have that help, you have to figure out ways to make that happen during the day, during the night, whatever your life looks like. Because again, there's single moms out there. They're not having that partner helping them. So they have to figure out, okay, who can I call? How can I make this happen? But again, end of the day, be patient with yourself.
Yeah. And I think what kind of backs up what you're saying even more is when you said that your second pregnancy, when it was COVID and you weren't trying to rush back, you weren't trying to like get to like a certain shape because you felt the pressure to, and that was your best and healthiest that you've ever felt, which I think it goes to show that like if you remove that societal pressure that you're supposed to bounce right back and you're supposed to be in really good shape and feel really good and have all the confidence in the world 6 to 8 weeks after. If you remove that, then you're probably going to get into a much healthier place eventually. Maybe not immediately, but eventually.
And that's what's really, it's really hard when you do, like, let's be honest, like most of us are middle class America. Like we're having to work. So if you did remove that and you weren't, stressing about pumping, I remember having to go to work and I had to go to a closet and I was pumping during work. I remember like, and some people bottle feed, some breastfeed. So there's different things that you can do, but like that's added stress. Some jobs don't allow you to take those breaks. Even in this day and age, it's still, I remember doing the mom bod workout program. They had to give me breaks because I was 5 months postpartum, and anyone will tell you who was there. I had to go and I had to pump in between workouts during the day. Like, it's just one of those things where you have to accommodate for, and not everyone is, but you have to be mentally tough of my body and my baby matter more than anything else right now.
Yeah. And setting those realistic goals, I think, is probably a big piece of that.
Yes.
Because like you said, like, I think women will get, and this is a guy saying this, so hopefully women are not getting turned off by me trying to talk for them. I'm not. I'm trying to be a student here for everybody listening, and for myself. But I think it's probably pretty accurate that people set these unrealistic postpartum goals. They do. They do, and it's like you said, like you have that 6 to 8 weeks, and so women are like, okay, I have 6 to 8 weeks, and if they're not back to complete normal after 2 months, then does that lead to depression? Does that lead to what all does that lead to? And so how can they differentiate between what these short-term goals are? Like you said, the short-term goal is just to get healthy, recover, right? Or no, you should actually take care of your baby, right? Be a mom, what you need to do, versus what those long-term health goals are. How would you differentiate those for a new mom?
So, being very honest, I allowed myself a year to get back after having my last son. So long-term, short-term, I'm going to tell moms that you cannot expect your body after 9 months of changes to get back in 2 months of change. You have to remember that my body changed for 9 months. Give your body the grace to change back, because it will lead to depression. It will lead to giving up. It'll lead to poor body image, and it affects your milk supply. It affects your mental health. So like I said, it affects your relationship with your spouse. I've had a lot of friends where they, unfortunately, within a year of having their baby, they filed for divorce because there was not an understanding of expectations and reality in their household. And because they were unable to come together and be reasonable and understand that what she needs emotionally is not there was a forfeit of marriage because of that. So there has to be a very real understanding that that is a side effect of, if you don't see the signs and if you're not looking out for your partner's best interest, it does lead to that. So again, you need to be on guard for yourself being like, okay, I worked out I got up and down, the steps today. Like that's as simple as that can be postpartum. Build up very carefully and be real with your steps. So if you were doing crazy workouts before, you're not doing it. You're not doing it. Have that expectation of, I was in a diaper 6 weeks ago after having a baby. That's what you're in. So you need to allow things to come back together and view yourself as a beginner. Allow your body the chance and love yourself enough to build up so that way you will be stronger and better for it when you're having to pick up that baby and when you're having to pick up groceries with that baby. So I would say you need to set out real expectations for you and your partner, write it all down, beforehand, but be realistic. Because again, how you think you're going to be when you're a parent is very different than when you are a parent. So, but it's good to have those expectations and learn from others, talk to other parents. You'll get a plethora of different answers. So to give you a good range of, okay, what is acceptable and what is a little bit too crazy.
Yeah. And I'm sure having that community is huge.
Yeah.
Especially with something as I don't want to say scary, but as big as having a child. You know, like that's the biggest decision that you could ever make, to bring another human, and now this is the human that you have to raise.
Yes.
And that could be terrifying. And so I'm sure, did you have a community around you to ask? Like, I'm sure by your third pregnancy, you were like, I got this shit figured out. But by the first one, it was probably pretty terrifying.
Oh my word. I have cousins on cousins, and I have 16 cousins, and they all have 4 or 5 babies. So we have like an army out here.
Whoa. You guys got a couple football teams.
Exact. I have a very big family. So I'm very fortunate. My mom is very much like grandma on call. She's ready to go. She's probably very similar to yours.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I had a great community. My mom was bringing me over dates and random foods throughout the day. She's like, this will help with your labor. That's the kind of community I had.
Aww.
So I was very blessed that way. And church community. So it's great to have that. And the gym is also like, everyone's having babies at the gym. Like there's always a baby boom. So it's been great. But you'll figure out your vibe, your tribe. Like you're going to figure out like, oh, that parent's not really who I want to hang around. Like, but you'll get to know. Yeah. So you're like, hey, if you want to be a certain way, find those type of people and hang out with them. Like they always say, like, show me who your friends are, and that's who you're going to be. Show me who your friends are as in parents, and that's the kind of parent that you're going to emulate.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And then we also talked a lot about like when it comes to those goals that you're setting.
Yeah.
Earlier in life, in your fitness journey, you're setting aesthetic goals. Now you're saying you really want to prioritize health goals.
Yeah.
How can that lead to better? Like, what if a mom listening to this is like, yeah, well, I still want to look good.
Yeah.
I still want to get back. I still want those aesthetic things.
Yes. I'm not saying I'm not vain. We all have a sense of vanity. I want to look good. Like, you take care of yourself. I go to Lifetime. Everyone's in their Lulu. Everyone has Botox. Like, trust me, I'm one of the few that still has wrinkle lines, right? So it is true. You do work out because you want to look a different way. However, that's not your driving force. That can't be. That's just, we're beyond that. You're a parent at this point. You have to have that talk, that realization with yourself and be like, okay, yes, I want to look hot. I want to have that body. But what's more important is, okay, I need to make sure that I get my hormones back where they need to be. So that way I'm able to, not to be annoying, but like, so I don't have thyroid issues. So I don't have PCOS. So that, I don't have, there's a real thing where like, if you don't heal your lower half, right, you can have a prolapse. You can literally have all these female issues by not allowing your body to heal naturally. When I worked one-on-one in a gym, I could literally feel separation. We would do like a belly check, right? So I would have them do a plank, or I would have them do a crunch. And you can see the diastasis recti push through. There's other things. So if you are really aesthetic, you will do the small work that needs to be done in order to keep from that. And then you can be stronger and better for it. I took a year to let my body heal. I'm stronger than I've ever been before. And I pursue strength, and I pursue, mental health versus a number on a scale.
Yeah.
But the scale comes with it because my priorities are in alignment.
Right. Yeah. I was literally going to say it. What it's sounding like is that when you approach it the right way, they go hand in hand.
Yeah. 100%.
Right? Yeah. So, no, I think that's important for people to pick up on here is that, yes, of course, everybody wants to look good. Right. But if you go the health route, it's like what I say. It's like when people are asking, like, what's the best, like, mindset to have when you're trying to get in shape, and it's like, well, you shouldn't be just results focused. You shouldn't be worried about what the scale is saying or whatever. What you should be focused on is like what you need to do day in and day out. And then if you focus on like those individual things, eventually you'll look up and that scale will be a lower number. And you won't even 100%. Have been focused on it because you're focused on the things that you should be focused on. Obviously it's a little different with this. Like you want to focus on health, you want to focus on hormones, you want to focus on your hips and your abs and everything like that, and just get back to a strong, healthy place. And then as you do that with the right way, everything will fall into place. All those aesthetic goals that you had, your waist is going to tighten up a little bit. You're going to be feeling stronger. You're going to have more energy. You're going to start getting better sleep because your hormones are getting balanced. And so I think that's a big takeaway right there.
Absolutely. If you're going to build a building, you want a strong foundation. You have to make your foundations. You have to get those things in order, and you build off that, and then you're set for life. Versus you have to go back and fix the foundation, and it's a lot harder than when you've had years and years and years of solidifying the wrong things.
Yeah. You can put those little details and which windows you want and the doorways that you want afterwards. But you gotta lay the structure first. And then so when it comes to like practical advice, what would you say to new moms who are trying to maintain this healthy lifestyle and they're trying to make these nutrition changes and these exercise changes? Oh, hello, who's this?
This is Liam. My parents just dropped him off, so he's saying hi.
Oh, he looks sleepy.
He's very sleepy. Yes, he's my little snuggler. Hey, bubbies.
Aw.
You gonna play?
Yeah, I want.
Tell him we're gonna ask him about his nutrition plan.
Yes. We're gonna talk about food. So this is what I'm saying. Like, this is a real life experience right here. Like, things happen where he gets dropped off early, and we go with it. That's a big takeaway for moms is, you have to learn to ebb and flow, and things happen. But if you don't mind, can you repeat that last question just because he was coming in?
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, obviously we're going over a bunch of like tips and advice. What's some like practical advice for new moms who are trying to adapt or maintain this new healthy lifestyle when it comes to exercise, nutrition, mindset, all of it?
Let's start with the exercise first, right? Pilates and floor low impact items are going to be your best friend. Glute bridges with a towel or a pillow or a ball and just squeezing that to get those small muscles to wake back up is going to be plenty. It sounds surreal once you go from lifting and you're super active to being like, I could barely do a glute bridge, but that's where you're at, So starting small, I always tell people, you want to bring your core wall in. It's stretched for months, and now we're trying to bring it back in and solidifying it. So,
and how long does something like that typically take, do you think?
Depends on where you start. Higher expectations when you're super tight, but you can kind of snap back a little bit quicker if you're in really good shape and it's your first one. But with each one, give it a little bit more time. But from a personal experience, after my first one, I had great abs. I had pictures where it was back within 6 months. Okay. You know what I mean? So, but again, that's one baby. I was already in great shape. Second baby, again, it was during COVID. I gave myself more time. It was great. 6 to 8 months. It was still really relatively easy because I was able to focus on it. So again, realistic expectations. But anything about on the floor, restoring your core, nothing where it's a plank. You don't want to put anything where you're dropping your organs back in, especially if, say you had a traumatic birth where you had a C-section. Give yourself an extra year because your organs are out of your body. I mean, this is something that I'm sure you maybe know or might not know, but your organs are out of your body.
Yeah.
They have to put them back in, and they're sewing you back up. Like
Yeah.
that's challenging. So my sister had one of those and it was a lot slower. Like being able to drive a car was a huge victory at 6 weeks. So just imagine
Wow.
that, like not being right. So that's where that whole like lifestyle of pressure put on us from a very early age as women that we need to be back.
Right.
So you can't undo that very quickly. You know, oh, I'm pregnant. I'm going to undo, 30 years of how I think it's going to go. So, but being patient, nothing with crunching, nothing with flexion at the stomach, nothing where there's pressure, glute bridges on the floor, don't do squats until you feel that you can get
Dead
up and
bugs.
down off. Dead bugs are great. Oh, that's my favorite, especially with the yoga ball. Oh yeah, that's a video favorite. Things like that, bird dogs, dead bugs, clamshells for helping your hips. I love those because again, you're opening and closing at your hips, but you're allowing your joints and your ligaments to move together. Add a band on it. It's the hardest thing in the world for us as new moms. But you do not need, it's a marathon. It is not a sprint. So you have to listen to your body. The last thing you want is, you wind up back in the hospital because that can happen.
And why would that happen?
You go too quickly, too fast, and you didn't allow your body to heal, and you could rupture something. There could be something wrong with your uterus. You could, or especially if you have a C-section, you could tear stitches, and not everyone has an easy birth. If you've had stitches down in the birthplace, like it is a lot harder. So the last thing you're going to be wanting to do is be doing heavy lifting anyway. You're going to want to sit on ice, but like you don't want to send your body back to the hospital when you just left it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And what about nutrition?
Nutrition wise, if you're breastfeeding, you have to have extra food because you are producing, especially with a newborn, and you're
How much
breastfeeding
extra would you
anywhere
say?
from. Okay.
Obviously it's tough because
Yeah, because again, like I'm 5'4" and every baby I was different. Yeah, you can do that, buddy. So I was eating an extra 600 calories a day to keep up my supply.
Okay.
It's a lot. Your body needs it because you're producing it. Again, like didn't have boobs before. So like I had to keep it up. And then if you don't eat enough, your milk supply goes down. So no, honey. So like that's the other side. If you stop producing, then you're not eating enough. So when I'm working with a client one-on-one and we're in the middle of breastfeeding, I have the duty for the baby too, to make sure that mom is able to get what she needs, but we do not at the sake of her milk supply. So it's going to be an ebb and flow. Like I can give a range, like anywhere, if it's a person like me, 1,700 to 1,900 calories, sure. But it's going to go on her, her weight loss and her supply.
And is there specific types of food that you would prioritize?
Salmon's going to be great for supply, flaxseed, chia seeds, basically keeping your body away from processed food because it's not going to be able to use it. Obviously, like whole foods, avocados, healthy fats. Let's just say that. Healthy fats, lean protein. You're going to want carbs. Again, we it's so funny because people think that we hate carbs in our industry. We don't hate carbs. We love fruits. We love vegetables. We're just not living off of bread. We are not in the Oprah industry of I love bread. It's just picking and choosing, but whole foods, fruits, veggies, but keep your blood sugar balanced because that is inevitably going to keep your hormones where they need to be as well. It's a two-edged, it's a cycle, not a two-edged sword. It's a cycle.
Yeah. And then the last piece of that I would ask about is rest. I think that's probably something that women will, I guess, probably internally struggle with.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody struggles with it, but like, I'm sure when you're a mom, and especially a new mom, you're like, wow, I'm not getting, like, I've watched my friends have kids and they just don't sleep. And I'm like, I don't know how you're doing this. But it's got to be even harder on the moms. And so what's some practical advice for that?
Be patient with your significant other, first off, because there's nights where you come in and they're snoring and you want to smother them. That is the hormones, first off. Because listen, if you can't bottle feed, it is your duty. So I would say nap frequently throughout the day. If you have 2 or 3 running around the house, way harder, but you have to get your sleep. And they say sleep when the baby sleeps. And I know that's so cliche, but laundry is always going to be there. Laundry is going to be there, guys. and it doesn't go away. It never goes away. You need to have that nap, because by getting a little bit more sleep, you're going to allow your growth hormone, your hunger hormones, your insulin, your estrogen, your body needs that. And right now it's not getting it consistently during the night when it normally does. So for your mental health of sanity, listen, if you talk to put my husband on this podcast, he will tell you he has talked me down off a ledge, because I'm like, I can't do this. I'm a mess and I'm crying. He goes, why don't you go nap? Sleep is a powerful thing. So you just have to be vocal about, I'm sleeping right now. Everyone needs to leave the house if that's what it takes.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I watched
be ready for that.
My buddies go through it, and that's basically like the hardest part for them, and they're not even the women in this process. Like,
I think it's definitely super hard for the partner, because they want to help and they don't know how to help. And then sometimes when they try to help, they do the wrong thing, and and then it sets us off, and we're like, we know you mean well. However, so I was the kind of wife where I did not make my husband get up, because I was like, at least one of us has to be happy during the day. And what do you stare at me while I feed in the corner? That's weird. So like, I let him sleep. So you got to figure it out, but you just have to be vocal. You cannot internalize. You cannot be a people pleaser, and you cannot be a perfectionist. Now, listen, you have to be understanding. If your husband's gone during the day working, you can't be mad that he's not home to help you nap.
Right.
Like that's the hormones speaking. You have to be cognizant of that. But if he's asking to go golfing on the weekend, you can be a little selfish and be like, hey, can I actually catch up on some sleep? Or hey, can I get a shower today? I was puked on 4 times. So it's just being like, you have to vocalize what you need. Do not internalize.
It's the communication piece of it. I mean, that's
huge.
Obviously massive with or without children, but with children, it could, like you said, it could be the difference between staying together and not, which is a very serious thing.
Hormones are crazy, and it's a real thing.
Yeah. And then as far as like, I only have a couple more questions for you. Yeah. But I wanted to talk about like the body image piece of things. Because obviously that's just a big thing in today's society anyways. People are struggling with ideal body image. Like, what is ideal body image? And now we're in a weird society where you have half the people who are shaming people for their body, and then you have half the people that are glorifying people for their body, and people are always confused. For new moms, when they're going through this change, how do they redefine what beauty is for themselves? Because their whole life they've looked a certain way and they've gotten results from specific amounts of effort, versus now that same effort might not be getting the same results, and they might look a lot different, and they might feel a lot different. And so I'm sure you went through that. How did you handle it?
I feel like I'm still going through it. So I can definitely speak to that, because again, going from like a size 0 and having size 2 pants, like, you're going to come to a point in your life where when you're done having babies, you're going to have a plethora of different sizes all in your closet or in storage. And you have to figure out what to let go. You may never get back to your body before children, but that's okay. And that's something you have to emotionally and mentally come to terms with. It's something I can tell you, I still have the size 2 jeans in my closet. However, my hips have widened 3 different times. And yes, I can do Pilates. And yes, there's things that we can do. However, I did a freaking miracle 3 times, and I just have to be thankful for that and be excited about that. And that those jeans do not bring happiness. You have to figure out, what does your health happiness mean to you? And it's different for everybody, but you have to be understanding of your body's not the same. It'll never be the same. I was listening to a podcast the other day about what happens internally to your body. Your body has cells from whatever baby you have. They stay in you for the rest of your life. Again, your body is just different. So, you have to just come to terms with that. That's actually pretty crazy to think about.
You have cells from each different pregnancy.
Yes. So I've had a miscarriage. I have those cells still in me.
Wow.
So there's different things. Yeah, I didn't want to get into that today because that's a whole other thing. But like, your body is just internally and externally different. Oh, and there goes my ring light. That's my son. That's childhood right there. Give me 1 second, Vince. Oh, honey, you're okay. See? So there you go. If you want to see motherhood at its finest, that's motherhood at its finest. I think this is speaking very well. Come here. Come say hi to Vince.
Oh.
So being realistic with yourself, being kind to yourself. And so for me, Vince, happiness is this. Happiness is knowing that I'm a size 6, but I can bench my weight. And I can pick up 2 or 3 of my kids at one time and run with them. It's knowing, it's knowing that he's snuggled up next to me, and that's happiness to me versus I'm 106 pounds on a scale where I'm a size 2. Yeah, I steal my protein. Yeah, I steal protein. So to any new mom, I would say you have to figure out what your happiness is, and you have to figure out your priorities, but that doesn't mean you neglect you. You just have to allow your body to get back in a realistic expectation. I'll feed you, and allow your weight to come off year over year. And you just keep pursuing healthy long-term habits, and those changes will happen. They don't happen though if you give up.
Yeah. And that long-term, I think that's probably one of the biggest pieces of advice that I keep hearing is that like you can't look at it as this like short-term fix. You can't look at it as something that's going to happen super quick. It's like when you said the thing about like it took you 9 months to birth a child. It's not going to take you 9 months to get back, or it's not going to take you 1 month or 2 months to get back to pre-pregnancy shape. You know, it's like I always tell people, it's like, well, it didn't take you 3 months to gain 100 pounds. It's going to take you longer than 3 months to lose 100 pounds. You know, it's obviously a much different situation with a pregnancy, but same concept, you know?
Exactly right.
Last question. How did becoming a mother change your identity, and how does it affect other women's perception of their own body?
You definitely don't feel like yourself anymore. You definitely are, you're like, oh my goodness, I have a human being I'm taking care of, first off. But second off,
which is wild just to think about.
It's wild. Yeah. But you're just constantly thinking about someone else, and not like a significant other. You're not thinking of your partner. It's like, this is someone that I helped create and make. And so you're no longer thinking about yourself anymore. But you're also not just focusing on my time. Like, you're focusing on just how can I be a better mom, and what does that look like? So you start to evolve into a better person. I feel like motherhood makes you a better person because, you know, as a young mom, I was pretty selfish. Yes, I was pretty selfish. I was pretty self-centered. It was kind of all about me. And then finally it was like, you know what? Like, okay, honey, it was no longer about me right now. Like, I'm multitasking. You will become the best multitasker in the world as a parent. But you're just constantly thinking about like, okay, how can I do for somebody else? So it makes you more selfless. You can forget yourself though, so be careful of that. Don't forget to take care of you, because again, it's not happy wife, happy life anymore. It's, you know, when mom's taking care of her health, it means mental, physical, emotional, which then leads to health for these kids and leads to a better marriage and communication. So again, you have to be self-aware. I would say that made me more self-aware of what I need to change as a person internally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that a lot, is like women will say that they haven't done something for themselves in years after having kids, because everything becomes about the children, you know? It becomes about taking care of them and trying to build them up and trying to raise them as best as they can. And so taking that time and taking care of yourself sounds like something that a lot of women don't even really think about, or they feel is selfish. Yes. What do you say to women who think it's selfish to do that?
I would say that's more of a child-centered family, and that's not. So I do classes. I do parenting classes. I think it's super important, and I do more of the relationship. So my relationship with my husband, if that is well nurtured and taken care of, that makes us better parents, and then that in turn makes them anxiety-free and emotionally stable and physically healthy and happy.
Right.
Correct. So again, we are the role models of everything. So, you know, I would say you need to find someone that can watch your children. That takes a while, but date nights, taking care of that, taking care of yourself. My husband forces me. He goes, go do something for yourself. I don't care what you do. Just leave. Just go get coffee, whatever. So having someone to support you is huge, but it's not selfish. It actually will make your kids happier and healthier than if you never, as my kids covered in yogurt, if you never take time for yourself. It's non-negotiable. Okay, you want to see Vince? That's Vince.
Hi, buddy. I guess
He
he
says
can't
hi.
hear me.
No, it's okay though. He's watching Mario.
He's ready for his food. Well, I won't keep you any longer. We went over so much in this episode. We can maybe get you back on. We can talk about some other stuff. I think we could probably talk for a while on this stuff. And I also think it's just really interesting to learn about, because like this is not something that I necessarily specialize in. And it's something that a lot of women, like you said, it's really tough to get the proper advice just by going online. Like I remember you saying, don't Wikipedia how much weight you should gain during a pregnancy. And I'm sure there's so many questions like that women have when they're going through this process. They don't know where to turn. They don't know who to believe. They don't know who to trust. And so I think this hopefully helped answer some of those questions. So I want to thank you for taking some time to explain all that to us. This was fun, and I'll let you go feed Liam.
Oh, he appreciates that too. But I think this was great. And I think that it means a lot that you are looking for these kind of answers. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I appreciate it. Have a good one. And
thanks.
We'll see y'all later. Now, if you are looking for some extra support and you aren't looking to spend a fortune, you should consider working with one of our VSHRED certified coaches. We'll figure out your macros. We'll figure out your calories. We'll figure out what your custom meal plan will look like. And yes, we'll make sure that it contains your favorite foods. And basically all you do is you let your coach know what you like, what you don't like, because when we say custom, we mean it. And you get unlimited emails, you get weekly check-ins, you get access to our brand new coaching app where you can message them at any time about anything with any questions. Our coaches are here to help you reach your goals, and they care about your success. And so all the details about how it works is in the description down below. So check that out if you want to. But thank you again for tuning in. Until next time.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of VSHRED's Better Body, Better Life podcast. Whether you're doing one of our programs, taking our supplements, or just doing things on your own, tune in every week for exclusive content with Vince, VSHRED trainers, and special guests as they share valuable tips around motivation, workouts, food, and living a healthier lifestyle. See you next time.